Good morning, class. These are our notes about multiplying polynomials. So in this first example, I think this is going to look pretty typical of what we'll be doing today. I need to take this entire monomial now, this 4x cubed. I'm going to take that whole thing and I'm going to be distributing that to all of the terms over here. So I'm trying to use some math vocab. So basically what I'm looking at is I have to think in my head, well, I have a 4 times, there's no number over here, so it's times a 1. That's going to be 4. And then I have x cubed times x squared. So if I do cubed times squared, I know that that's going to be x to the 5th power. Then I have a plus sign. Then I'm going to multiply the 4x cubed times the 9x. So 4 times 9 would give me a 36. And if I have x cubed and I'm multiplying by one more factor of x, now I would have x raised to the 4th power. Last, I would multiply my 4x cubed times the negative 7. So 4 times negative 7 would be a negative 28. So I'm going to write minus 28. And I'm not multiplying by any more x's, so it's going to stay x to the 3rd power. So we are kind of combining here. We're doing a little bit of simplifying, and you'll see that on the next couple. But we're really kind of combining what we learned about simplifying and then also what we've learned about exponents. So the big thing today is just to take it slow and be careful as you're doing all this distributing and make sure to check your answers. So on the second one, these are going to be what the bulk of our problems are going to look like. It's kind of weird because we've always had just like something in front and then some parentheses, and we've known to distribute that. But now we've got two sets of parentheses. So I had a really cool way to think about this explained to me by another teacher. And she said you could kind of think of it as being two teams. One team is x plus 5, and the other one is x minus 6. And everybody on this team needs to play everybody on that team over there. So I'm going to look at this x, and the x needs to play everybody on the other team. So we're going to multiply x times x. We're going to multiply x times negative 6. So let's go ahead and do that. So if I have an x times an x, that makes an x squared. X times minus 6 is a minus 6x. Okay, but now the 5 hasn't been able to play anybody. So 5 is now going to play this x over here on the other team and the negative 6 on the other team. So the big thing is I don't multiply the x and the 5 together because they're on the same team. So team members here go against those other team members. When I'm distributing the 5 times x is a plus 5x. And then 5 times negative 6 is a minus 30. So now I want to keep my x squared. Normally my middle terms on problems like this, and you're going to learn to recognize them, are going to be like terms. So negative 6 plus 5 is a negative 1. So I could write minus 1x, or I could just write minus x. I don't have to put the 1 there. And then we have a negative 30. So we're going to try that again. So first I'm going to take 5y, and I'm going to distribute times the y and the 2. So 5y times 5 would be 5y squared. 5y times 2 is going to be 10y. And then I want to take the 8 and distribute. So 8 times y is going to be a positive 8y, and 8 times 2 is 16. And then once again, I'm going to combine those middle terms, my like terms. So I have 5y squared, 10 and 8 is 18y, and then plus 16. So let's try again. So on this one, we'll multiply x times 9x. That will give me a 9x squared. X times negative 3, so minus 3x. Negative 4 times 9x, so that's a negative 36x. And negative 4 times negative 3, that's a positive 12. So be really careful with that negative times negative. It might help if you went ahead and made those minus signs into plus negatives to start with. So if that's going to help you, make sure to do that. So our last step on this one is combining those middle terms. So negative 3 plus a negative 36 is a negative 39x plus 12. So the last one doesn't have, like here I had two binomials, right? I had x and 5, that's two terms. I had x and negative 6, that's two terms. So this is when we multiply two binomials together. So on this one, I have a binomial times a trinomial. But the idea is still the same. I still take the x, and x is going to play every single person, or maybe it's wrestling or something, right? They're going to wrestle every single person on the other team, and then we're going to do the same thing with the 7. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times 9x is going to be a 9x squared. X times a negative 3 is a negative 3x. So now I'm going to go through and distribute 7. So I want to multiply 7 times the x squared times the 9x and the 3. And I'm going to use this vertical format too. So when I multiply 7 times x squared, I get 7x squared. I'm going to write it underneath my 9x squared. And that's for a couple reasons. I don't have probably enough space to keep going here. And also, we like that vertical format. We like to be able to just add everything together. 7 times 9x would be a positive or a plus 63x. And 7 times negative 3 is a minus 21. So let's go ahead and add. So x cubed doesn't have any partners by itself. 9 and 7 would make a 16x squared. Negative 3 plus 63 is a plus 60x. And then we have a minus 21. So it's interesting. It's like those first and last terms don't ever have partners, but those middle terms, we're going to have some like terms to combine. So 7, 4 is technically still just multiplying, but sometimes we have some cool patterns. So we want to look at a couple of these. So if it's squared, it means I have to multiply it by itself. So first I write it down twice, and then I do my same distributing pattern. So x times x is x squared. X times negative 7 is negative 7x. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. And notice I'm saying negative 7, but I'm writing minus 7x because it's the same thing. I could write a plus, negative, or a minus. And then here I have a negative 7 times a negative 7, so plus 49. So when I put my middle terms together, negative 7 and negative 7 is going to be a minus 14x plus 49. And we're going to be multiplying a lot of these and looking for patterns, but today we're just kind of making sure that we remember squared means write it twice. So on the second one, x times x is x squared. X times 5 is a 5x. And then we have another 5x. And then 25. And it's all right to work these out slow. I have been multiplying binomials for so many years that I'm going to be a lot faster than you. Make sure you put your middle terms together. 5x and 5x makes a 10x plus 25. Okay, so the last two are called sum and difference pattern, and that's because my binomials are almost the same, but one is a plus, so sum means plus, and one is a difference, that's minus. So let's see how this pattern ends up working out. So x times x is an x squared. X times a minus 9 is minus 9x. Positive 9 times x is plus 9x. And then 9 and negative 9 is a minus 81. And what I notice on this one is if I have a minus 9x plus 9x, those are going to zero out. So I'm just left with x squared minus 81. All right, our last problem together. So let's multiply 2x times 2x. So 2 times 2 is 4. X times x is x squared. It's going to give us a 4x squared. 2x times a minus 1 is minus 2x. 1 times 2x is plus 2x. And then 1 times negative 1 is minus 1. So my middle terms are going to zero out again. And I have 4x squared minus 1. So please ask questions if you have them in class. And I hope you have a good day.